back in the garage, guys, and we are working on the Grizzly 660. I think first thing we're going to do today is we are going to try to start cutting off all the stuff that's really rotted on this. Let me show you real quick, give you guys a quick refresher. And as you guys can see here, we need to get all this rotted metal off of here, see where we're at. We do have something wrong with the frame here, which we need to patch. Coming around to the back, if you remember correctly, this is completely rotted out. I do have parts on order. As you guys can see, let's take another look over here, and we got to work on getting these off. The reason why we need to work on getting that off is I need to see how bad the frame is underneath all that stuff and how much work I need to put into this to get it structurally sound again. I ordered steel. I have steel in right now. I'll show you that in a minute. I did order replacement pegs or supports for here. Found them on eBay pretty cheap. 30 bucks I think I paid for all four of them, which is pretty cheap. I'm finding that parts for this machine are pretty cheap because I don't think these are very popular for people to rebuild. I think when they go bad, people just junk them. So the parts are not really, they're not in high demand, so they're pretty cheap, which is good. All right, without further ado, I am going to get the cutoff wheel out, and we're going to start cutting some of this stuff off. As you can see, quite a bit of rust has already fallen off the bottom of that, off of this one thing. It's pretty rotted, so I don't think it's going to come off. So I did cut the bottom. We're going to put some big channel locks on here, and we are probably just going to bend this thing off of here, get it to snap off because it's all rotted. I'm going to have to build a new type of structure here, I think. And as you can see, it is extremely rotted. So, one down, one to go. So the back is, let me get the light back on this. As you guys can see here, it's a gaping hole in the frame. So this tube piece right here is going to have to be, this piece, I don't know if, yeah, over here too, it's rotted through there too. So this is going to be, this whole piece right here is going to be replaced, side of here. So let's work on cutting that one off now. Okay, this is the right hand side, and you can see I hit it with a hammer here, and you can see that it's compromised. So this whole tube, I think from about here to here, needs to be replaced. This is the right side. I hit that with a hammer really good, and it didn't seem to go through. Let me see what it looks like when I grind it all up for weld prep. And this right here, as you can see, is rotted through. So I may just replace this whole side as well, just to get rid of that. But the rest of it looks pretty good. I don't see any problems with it other than that. Now this is a piece of steel that I got, and this, what I'll do is it should take up the space here that mounts those two supports to. Now what I'll do is I'll cut this down here to make the, let me off the magnet there. Let me grab you a piece down here and show you what it'll look like. So it's got to be like a U shape like that, and then they kind of just get welded on there, and then this bolts to it with a couple of nuts. So Shouldn't be a problem to remake this area right here. Should be pretty simple. Now, coming back here, we're gonna start taking this all apart, but I did get this piece also to go across the back here, and I should have enough left over on that overhang to make up the 4 pieces that I need for the side standards, which would be nice. So I think at this point now I'm going to get a jack underneath the middle of this. I'm going to get the tires off, and I'm going to start taking this back into apart. All right, the wheels are off. I took the hub off. There's just 1 bolt, 27mm. Came off pretty easy. It slid right off. Wasn't rusted. So I need to take this entire back suspension apart. Basically, I got to take off the A-arms, upper and lower. I want to take the knuckle off here. I want to pull this out. This drive shaft, obviously, I need to replace the CV axle. So, and the shocks are completely rusty. I actually ordered a set of these from eBay. I think I paid 60 bucks for them. Those are on the way. So I'm going to take those off. Those are going in the trash. I'm going to save the knuckle. There's a set of upper and lowers for this on eBay right now. Guy wants like 95 bucks for them. It's not a bad price. I'm probably going to purchase them just because these are so rusty. I don't want to take a chance of them snapping when you're out in the woods or something. So I'm probably just going to replace everything because the cost is so low. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove the A-arms. I'm going to remove, actually I'm just going to remove this knuckle first. I just lubed them up. I hit them with a wire brush to clean up the threads. They don't look too bad. I think they're going to come right off. I'm going to use my impact gun and come back when I'm done. Okay, I got most of the stuff out. Knuckles out. I got the upper A frames off on the floor right there. I got the upper bolt out of the shock. That one's loose. I haven't got that one yet. That one should come out, hopefully. The bottom bolt on the shock, I'm not even going to bother with it because I'm probably replacing the A-arms anyways. If not, I can always cut it off later. That screw right there is, well, that bolt right there is non-existent. That one is rusted to the point where it's not even a 14mm anymore, so I can't get a wrench on that. So I'm just going to take my zip wheel, cut that strut in half. I'll have to buy new ones, I guess. Okay, that A-arm is off, the lower A-arm and the shock on there and everything. And I can't seem to get that off, but I'm just going to cut that off with a zip wheel and buy a new one. As you can see here, that's pretty spent. Frame's pretty rotted. Doesn't look too bad up here, but the top is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the top. So I think at this point now, I'm going to come over here and we are going to remove everything on this side to get it like this. And then I am going to pull the rear differential out because it's kind of in the way. And then we'll assess what we have to do to pull the rear diff out. I don't have to really worry about this bolt because it's rotted away. So there's 1 bolt in the front, and I think I'm just going to remove the caliper, the whole caliper from it. I'm not going to disconnect the line. All right, I got the differential fluid draining. Both shafts are out. This shaft doesn't seem that bad. This one's gone. I may just replace them both because you can get a set for 100 bucks. So the caliper's off. The only thing I have to now is just take out this bolt right here and the differential will come out. But I want it to drain first before I do that. Just for obvious reasons because I don't want to make a mess. I have all the tools cleaned up. The floor is still a mess. I'm not going to clean the floor up yet. So I'm going to do some wire wheeling and some scraping, and I'm going to hit this stuff, you know, tapping with a hammer to see if it's soft. I'm going to do that now. Do it off camera. And then I will come back once I figure out what I got here, and I'll show you guys. We'll figure out together where my cut lines are going to be and all that. All right, I think for this bottom piece, I'm going to go back to right about the middle of this. And it's good metal. I hit it with a hammer. I wire wheeled it. That's good solid metal right there. So this looks to me like if I go from the middle of that to the end of that, that's 7 inches. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, I have a mark there, there, the top one I'm going to use. That one, and then that one. All right, so I'm going to cut this section out. This whole section right here I'm going to cut out right now. I'm going to use a Sawzall, and my camera's acting up once again, so Probably won't record it because the camera will end up dying. But I'm just going to chop it off, nothing fancy, just a regular Diablo, basically metal blade. Alright guys, it's been a while, probably about 2 weeks, holidays and such, so I haven't been out here working, and it's been really cold. Anyways, frame's all cut, it's all cleaned up, as you guys can see here. This is all really good metal. You can see it's nice and thick. So it's all good metal. I wire wheeled everything up here. Everything looks good. It's all solid steel. We have no issues at all. From this section of the frame all the way back to there, there's no issues at all. What I'm going to do is, after I weld it all together, I'm going to put this on there. This stuff is fantastic. You put it on with a brush, it's just milky white. And then after it starts to interact with the rust, it turns black and then dries. And it neutralizes the rust and stops it. After I do that, I'm going to paint it black. And I'll show all that in the process. That's where we're at right now. Let me show you some of the stuff I got in the mail. Alright guys, this is everything I got in the mail so far. As you can see, I got the supports for the foot peg rests, or the foot rests, and they came from a parts scrapping warehouse I found on eBay. I buy a lot of parts off of them. I don't remember the exact name, but just search out anything you want on eBay. There's plenty of like ATV junkyards that advertise their parts. So I got this from one company. I bought these from another. These are shocks. See? And here's a tag for them. 660. And I bought the entire rear suspension. Upper A-arm, lower A-arm, and this sway bar. I bought the whole thing. These are in really good shape. No rust on them at all. They even come with the plastic guards. And everything you see here was 120 bucks. Everything. And I think that's because this stuff here usually isn't popular for sale. It's probably sitting on their warehouse. And let me just give you guys some eBay advice here. If they say make an offer, make an offer. Go back and forth. I got this stuff a lot cheaper than they originally buy it now price, because this stuff's been sitting on their shelves probably for a long time. They just want to move it. So just make them an offer. I mean, don't lowball stupidly. But if you offer them 30 bucks less than they're asking, 9 out of 10 times they take it. So again, I got all this for 120 bucks, and I don't ever have to worry about the shocks going, the A-arms breaking, anything, because none of it's rusty. And if you guys want to take a look over here, just look at what was on here. I mean, look at the rust on that. I mean, my goodness. I just don't think that stuff's going to hold up. So I'd rather just be safe and get rid of it all. So that's basically what I did. All right. So one of the other things is I got a lot of material in the mail. That's the old trailer hitch. I ended up getting the bolts out of it. I'm going to reuse that, but I'll put that aside. I ended up getting my material in the mail. There's a piece of tubing, a piece of rectangular tubing. I got some solid dowel, and I got some more tube in there. I also have this tube down here. Now, off camera, I already heated and bent it to fit where I want it to go, which is going to be basically right here. Gotta get everything in my way, which is right here. And that's going to be the angle at which the original stuff was. And then I picked up this solid stuff here, and as you can see, it is a perfect fit to go inside. And we're going to have 7 inches of stick out here. So this bar is a foot long, so if I go 7 inches, which is basically roughly right there, pull it out another 1/8 of an inch. We got 7 inches in. If you go a foot, we got 5.5 inches into the frame. That is basically what this is. This is going to be stronger than the original frame, and you don't have to worry about these welds breaking because this steel bar is in there. And then I got this tube here, which as you can see fits over this.
and it's the same size as that. So what I'll do is I'll just leave a gap in here, and then I will burn all 3 of these pieces together, and this will literally be stronger than the factory frame itself. Obviously this is just a bit too long, and I'm going to do the same on this side. As you can see here, we got another piece of dowel there to go inside of there, and that's basically what I'm going to do. So what I want to do now is I got to set up the welder and get ready to start welding this thing together. I have the skid plate just clamped on there right now, just to get an idea where it's going to go. Now if you look down inside of here, you'll see that there's a hole on either side, and those are for mounting the back of this to the frame. So I need to leave room, and I need to come up with something to put in there at an angle with a threaded hole in it so that we can mount the back of that. So with that being said, I got to leave this a little bit more forward than I thought. Originally I thought 7 inches would have did it for me, but 7 inches I think is going to be too far. So let's just grab my tape real quick and see what we got here for a measurement. Try and do this with 2 hands. And right here, let's see if I can get the tape in here. Right here, we're looking at about 6 1/4. So I'll probably cut this 6 3/16 so I can leave a gap for. Okay, just got it tacked here and here so that these don't come out. Now what I want to do is, now I've got these 2 pieces cut, then I'm going to slide onto here, and you can see I got a pretty good gap right there for welding, pretty close to the end. And there's this guy, same deal, pretty good gap for welding, and to the end. I might have to smooth the ends out a little bit, but as you can see here, I did chamfer that really good so I could get some penetration in there, so that when I do smooth the end off, we got plenty of bite. I might actually do this one more. So I'm going to tack this on now, and then we're going to move to these down supports. So actually I might have to do the cross one. Anyway, let me tack these in so they don't move, and actually I'm going to tack them up here. Okay, let me get it done. Okay, these pieces are tacked in. I made this piece, put some corner rounds on it, and I drilled some holes through it. And this piece is going to go in here like this. And this isn't the right bolt, but it's a bolt that's the right size. And I'm going to put this just down in there. Mount the trail hitch like that. It should be good to go. Alright, so I got 2 screws in there. They need to be cap screws to sit down inside. I don't have any at the moment. These are suspension bolts that are the exact same size, and you can see they're gonna hang through the bottom, and I'm just gonna put nuts on them, and it should be perfectly fine for what we need to do. Alright, now I just gotta figure out where to place this to weld it. So let's get set up for that. Alright, there's the first support coming down. I just have it tacked in 2 places. And you can see I kind of bird's mount it. For anyone who's a carpenter knows what a bird's mount is, you can see. That'll give it more strength coming down on it. And I think that that'll work quite nicely. And this is way more beefier than what was here before. Before it was just a piece of extruded metal, sort of like what you see right there with holes in it. And that's all that went across here before. Now it's actual structural steel, so this is going to be way stronger than it ever was. Plus we have the rods going through. So anyone out there that thinks that this isn't going to be strong, well, it's going to be way stronger than it was for the factory. That's for sure. You can see the rods are still in there. Alright, I need to fabricate up this other piece. I actually have it fabricated already. I just need to what I did was, it took me a little while of cutting, like grinding and fitting to get it perfect. So now I got to do the same on this side. This piece here, I'll tack it in, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, it's tacked in, got both sides. Looks good, looks real good. I'll take that. Looks just as good as the factory frame, and it's going to be a lot stronger. I think now what we need to do is, well, it's tacked in. I don't want to make everything permanent yet. I think we need to put the lower control arm mounts on, and let me just show you guys what I got planned for that. So this is the crusty old lower control arm, and as I showed you earlier, I bought brand new ones, new shocks, everything. This stuff's all going in the trash, or I may hang on to it for metal for later. We'll see. But I am going to cut these off, and I'm going to use these for the new lower swing, lower A-arm mounts. And this is really thick, and as you guys can see, it's not rotted. So I'm going to zip these off right now. I'm going to zip the one off of this one, and then zip the one off the other one, and we're gonna tack them on here in the position once we fit them into what we need. This is too wide, so I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it here also. Alright, this is the piece I cut off, and I cleaned it up with a flapper disc, and you can see that that's all still good metal. It's definitely usable. So what I did was I mounted the old shock and A-arm in here, and you can see that's where I cut these pieces off. And what I need to figure out is where I need to have this to mount, and it is the right size for the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the distance I need from the center of the hole to the top of that, and then I'm going to cut these accordingly, and I'm going to zip the back off so I can get them to touch, and then I can weld them. And I'll have to do that on both sides, but let me get this side prepped and ready to tack, and then I'll come back and show you. Alright guys, there we are, and I see no reason why that won't work perfectly fine. That's all good clean metal, and that should work perfectly fine. Now before I button that in there, or tack it in, I want to copy those two pieces exactly on the other side. So I'm going to do that now off camera. Alright, I have both sides made up. I didn't tack them yet because I don't know if this thing's going to move when I burn it in. I think the last thing I need to do now is I need to put the gearbox back in here, and I need to make the mount that goes on the back here. You guys remember, this is the old mount, and it's completely rotted and no good. So I'm going to cut up some more A-arms and get some more of these brackets off it, and we're going to fabricate this up. Alright, I have the gearbox just resting in here. You can see the pieces that I cut off of the upper control arms. And what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a straight edge, and I'm going from that mount there straight, and I put a mark right there. And I want to line this mark up with that. That way there I know the gearbox is in there straight. Okay, now everything is in. I got the gearbox in. Those are the tabs. We're going to weld them. Nothing is hitting. Everything fits. Everything looks good. None of the spots that I put in cracked or broke off. And I have the drive shaft in. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to spot everything. Everything's stacked together. I did have to break the rear axle, or the rear pumpkin, or whatever you want to call it. I had to break that one off because I need to get in here to weld this all up, and with that bracket in the way, it kind of made it difficult for me to try to get the torch in there. So as you can see, nothing's welded right now. What I'm going to do is I am going to fire the welder up, and I am going to burn this all in permanent now, and it should be good to go. Alright guys, it's all welded up. Probably took me half hour, 45 minutes to weld this all up. It's stronger than it ever was. I don't claim to be a professional welder, so don't be knocking on my welds. Plenty of penetration. This is not coming apart. It's better than it was from the factory. Let's take a look. See, the welds are pretty solid. Lots of penetration. I put these on here because the skid guard, skid plate. Has the bolt in the back of the frame here, so I just welded some metric nuts on there, and those are the bolts. I'll just cut the bolts down. When I go to assemble, put them in. That should hold the skid plate on the back, and there's a slight angle to them, that's why they tip down. I just eyeballed them, they should be fine. You can see here, plenty of penetration on those welds. Those welds look good. Everything looks good. Everything is nice and solid. Quick recap. These are the pieces that were on the back of the ATV originally, all rotted out, as you can see. This was the rear end mount. That was the other side of the frame. It's completely rotted. And this is this foot peg rest, which we're going to work on later. So we went from, I'm pretty sure it's this, we went from this to that, basically. And it looks fantastic.
And it only costs about $60 in metal. So if you have a welder, you can fix this stuff. It's not that difficult. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to prep these surfaces for paint, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that right now.
This is the stuff I'm going to use. I've used this on my truck. For the salted roads, the stuff works fantastic. And I'm just going to use a solo cup and a brush to put it on. And they tell you not to use it from the bottle because you contaminate it. Once you contaminate it, and what I mean by contaminated is it starts to turn black once it's in contact with rust. And then it starts to work. Once you activate it, you can't unactivate it basically. So I'm going to pour some in here. Not all of it. You don't need a lot. And I'm going to set it aside. You shake it up a little bit, and then we're going to go basically brush it on. This is basically all you do. You just brush it on the rust. You're not supposed to sand it, scrape it, do anything. They say just put it right on. And as you can see, I have a drop cloth underneath here to catch all the drippings. And that's pretty much it. And I'll come back tomorrow after I do the whole thing, and you guys will see how this turned black. As you can see, I still have plenty still in the cup. And I've gone over the entire frame. It's like a milky white right now. I've gone over it a couple times to make sure I didn't miss anything. I didn't put anything on the new steel. Some of the new steel got it on there. It won't do anything to clean steel. It only reacts to rust. And I didn't put anything there because I'm going to have to cut some of this apart, and I don't know how far back I need to go. But I only went this part of the frame, and as you guys can see. So what I'll do is I'll come back tomorrow when it dries and show you what it looks like. Well, that's the next day, 24 hours later. It's all dry. And it kind of makes like an encapsulation kinda, but you can see it turns black. And I put it on like the regular steel, and it doesn't really do anything to regular steel. It only interacts with anything that has rust on it. And again, they tell you on the directions not to clean the surface, just to put it straight on the rust. And that's how it works. So that looks really good. Now I'm going to put some paint on it. I just want to let you guys know there's more content coming on this. There's more frame repair. The frame down here is all rotted out. We got to replace that. And there's also some frame repair that needs to be done in the front, or some cleanup, or whatever, however you want to look at it. So stay tuned for that video, because that's coming next. All right, guys, it's the end of this video. I've literally been working on this for probably 3 weeks, but the holidays and everything, this is New Year's Eve. I'm done. I think there's enough content here to post. And let's just recap what I did. The back is all done. Let me just show you real quick. Well, this is what we had. All that rusty stuff. And you can see how rotted it was. I cut a lot of the pieces off of here, just so I could, as you can see, reuse them to make other stuff. There's the old shocks and everything. And that's basically everything that I cut off. And here it is all done. And it looks fantastic. Not trying to make a show bike here. I just wanted to clean it up and make it look good, which I did. I ordered 2 new rear drive axles. They haven't come in yet, that's why they're not together, and everything is still loose. Not going to tighten the suspension until we have weight on it. So there's that.